Good morning, my name's Craig Anderson. I'm a farmer in Champaign County, Illinois. And what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how to calculate corn yield. And this would be an estimate that farmers are looking for at this time of year to give them an idea of what their corn crop may produce. This won't be the final answer. That will be done at harvest time. And it's a time that we're all anxious about seeing what Mother Nature and our hard work could produce this season. And what I'll do is I will explain how we go about estimating, and then I'll walk out in the field and give you a little more detail about how we do that. So the first step in estimating corn yield is we need to know how many plants per acre we have in this field. The way you do that is this field is planted in 30-inch rows. If we measure off 17.5 feet for one of the rows and count the number of plants in that 17.5 feet, that will tell us what our final population is. So the first thing we're going to do in estimating the yield is we're going to find out how many thousands of plants we have per acre. As I mentioned, we will measure out 17.5 feet for a 30-inch row corn. And then we will count the number of plants in that 17.5 feet. In this instance, there are 30 plants in 17.5 feet, which equates to 30,000 plants per acre. Now that we've found out what our population is, we have to harvest some representative ears from this 17.5 feet that we've picked out. And you don't want to pick stuff on the edge or in a blank area. You want representative ears. So you'll randomly select an ear off of the 5th plant, maybe the 9th plant, and we'll take one off of the 19th plant. And so after we've selected our 3 ears, we will take them outside of the field and we'll show you how to finish calculating the estimated yield for this field. So what we do now is we have our 3 representative ears, and we're going to calculate how many kernels are on each one of these ears, and through math we're going to end up calculating for the whole acre and the whole field. On your ear you have the butt and you have the tip. We want to count the kernels that are in the center section of the ear because they're the most uniform of the ear. There are some kernels that are much bigger on the butt. You have sections of the tip that are much smaller, and we don't want those in our estimate. So what we're going to do is we need to find how many rows of kernels we have around the ear. So we'll count those. And then we need to know, once we decide our center section, we are going to count the number of kernels in maybe 2 kernel rows, one on one side of the ear, one on the opposite side of the ear, that will kind of give us an average number of kernels for that kernel row. So usually what I do is I know that I don't want to use anything below this line or anything, say, above this part. So this will be the center section. And I just usually mark 2 kernel rows. Interestingly enough, usually there are always an even number of kernel rows around. So what I'll do is I'll say there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 kernel rows on this ear. So I'll just jot that down, that there are 14. And now we want to figure out how many kernels are in the rows. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Jot that number down. And we can flip this over and go over on the other side, and we know that we're looking at this area not to count. So we'll say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, say 31. So you have an average of about 31 kernels per kernel row. That's what we need as part of our calculation. You'll do this for the other 2 ears also. For each of our 3 ears that we've selected, we have calculated yield, which is the number of plants in the 17.5 feet times the number of kernel rows times the number of kernels per row times a seed weight factor for our area, which in the end has given us a yield of 160 bushels per acre for this field.